It's 5:31. I call this License and Ordinance Committee meeting to order. It's September 13th. First item on our agenda is comments from citizens present. If you would like to say anything about the agenda tonight, you're welcome to speak. Just do the Zoom hand raise or let us know another way. And you can have 3 minutes. Does anyone wish to speak tonight? I'm not seeing anybody. If I am missing you and you want to speak, please just interrupt me. But hearing none, I'm going to move on to the approval of the minutes from August 9th, 2022 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kendra. I'll make that motion.
Luke is here. Hi, Luke. We're just approving the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
No worries. Does we have a motion? Do we have a second on approval of last meeting minutes?
I'll second that.
Perfect. Any questions or any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Let's go on to the approval, to licenses and permits. Number 1 is review of an application to amend the agent for the alcohol beverage license held by Quick Trip Inc., doing business as Quick Trip. Quick Trip 962, pardon me, at 6719 Century Avenue to appoint Georgia E. Seiler from Middleton as agent.
Yep, and no issues here, just for clarification, 6519, if that makes any difference, but 6519 Century, no issues on the criminal history or anything, so.
I apologize, what did I say?
Said 6719.
Sorry.
No worries.
I mean, I know they build them close together. I didn't think it was that close together.
Sorry. I was thinking of the same joke.
All right, so do we have any questions about this application?
I don't have any. I will make a motion to approve. This is Kendra.
I will second. Any other discussion or questions? If not, all in favor of approval of this application, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next one is the application for a Class B fermented malt beverage and Class C wine licenses by Trio Ramen, Wisconsin, LLC, doing business as Trio Ramen, located at 2831 Parmenter Street, number 101. Pei Wang, Middleton, Wisconsin, as agent. And Mr. Wang, if I mispronounced your first name, I apologize. So any information from Jeremy on this?
Yeah, so no issues with criminal histories on any of the president, VP, or secretary, who's also the agent. I did send an email to the agent when I got this on September 2nd, inviting to the meeting. I never got a response. But this is a quota license. It's going to be in the Hertz Donut building. They're doing construction there right now. So I have no issues.
Very good. Any other questions from the committee? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
This is Kendra. I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor of the application approval, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, application for a special event permit by Arts and Literature Laboratory, Nicole Gruder, contact person for the Middleton Jazz Festival and Stonehorse Green grand opening on October 7 and 8, 2022 in downtown Middleton. Can we combine number 3 and 4? The application for outdoor amplified sound permit as well. Same Nicole Gruder for Arts and Literature Laboratory, 111 South Livingston Street, Madison, Wisconsin for sound system. Announcements, band and DJ 12 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. October 7 and 8, 2022 for the Middleton Jazz Festival.
Yeah, so this is the Sterling Jazz event, or Middleton Jazz Fest, also known as, is an annual event in Middleton. However, this year it is going to be coinciding with the grand opening of the Stonehorse Green Space. So it is a 2-day event. What else can I say? The only thing, I mean, they are looking into a street closure of Hubbard to Aurora. And the only other thing I would think I'd like to have the committee review is the hours of the amplified sound going till 10:30 p.m. Because as of right now, the regulations set for Stonehorse Green have the park closing at 10 p.m.
Yeah, I wrote that down just because it was like to sort of make it really generous, but I couldn't quite remember what the ordinance was. So you can definitely make it 10.
10. Okay. And yeah, Nicole is on the line, so or on the call. So if anybody has any specific questions, she'd probably be able to better answer them than me.
So the street closure was just for Hubbard to Aurora, not including Aurora?
Hubbard and Aurora to Elmwood. So just that L kind of shape.
All that one-way parking. Is that so bands can load and unload?
I think that, well, I think it was a mixture of both, correct, Nicole? That, I mean, it would be also just for, to not have traffic so that people could just walk around more freely.
Yeah, I think that was the idea, was just to have a little bit more square footage for people to roam. It was a little bit cramped when we did it last time, and now it'll be, you know, with the construction and the stage and everything, it'll be even more of a different configuration. And then indeed to have access for bands to maybe just come in and load in and then bring their car back out again. Or how do we do that if people are hanging out there? Discuss.
Well, there's always Elmwood for loading and unloading the
Yeah.
band. Like it's closer to that bandstand anyway.
That's
I don't
right.
know if you're gonna have to save like a loading zone or not.
We probably will, with just, I'll bring some orange cones or something.
I
And
wonder
then-
if we could do a no parking order for a small space there. I'm not sure if that would be doable.
Or even just that whole north, what is that? The south side of Elmwood from Aurora to Parmenter?
That's
Yeah.
gonna be tough to, you know, we have to have some parking for the people who go there. But isn't there kind of an old driveway kind of near where the bandstand is on Elmwood?
Like right
Or
next to
am
Village Green.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like there is. It's hard to say. I don't know.
I think that might belong to Village Green if that's still there.
That's
Mm, good point. Okay, that doesn't help. So Laura, should
Mhm.
we work on a separate traffic, like parking zone area? Do we need to?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could do that. There was kind of looped in well, Captain Geisler and Sean Stowski with just because I think this is going to be a normal occurrence where people are going to want to
Yeah.
close down that L shape. And again, we're going to have to deal with band load in, load out. So I do think, yeah, if we could spend some time and just kind of be like, this is how it works, that would be worth everyone's while.
All right, so should we just focus on these applications and then just say like approval contingent on satisfactory
Like traffic control plan?
traffic control plan? Does that sound okay to you guys?
The one caution I'd say is that there are some people that probably, or businesses, I should say, that would not be thrilled with a road closure. So I guess I'm not necessarily 100% comfortable being the person who makes that decision.
Yeah,
That's kind of the purpose of L&O. I don't know, Matt, if you have any other opinions on that.
No, yeah, no, I think that's a fair point.
hmm
Especially if that has not been proposed thus far as part of the plan that, people might have commented on it.
I mean, I don't think it's, like the whole affair of the weekend is contingent on closing that up per se. Just from past experience, seeing a lot of people bleeding out into the streets because of it was so popular. And so I just would be concerned to have more elbow room. But then again, the street is not part of the park. So, maybe those boundaries are needed.
And I just want to make it clear, I'm not saying I'm opposed to the idea. I just don't think the police department should be the one making that decision.
And I
Understood.
also think, I mean, it's fair to say that, these events are only going to become more popular. And so I don't know if it's something that we want to explore, like a set number of events that are going to be allowed to close the street, or some sort of, I don't know, stipulation.
Has anyone had conversations with the businesses that are impacted? I would think that more foot traffic downtown in general would be good for most of them. So I don't know if we need to reach out to the commerce or anything like that to see, just to take a temperature. Have we done that at all?
So I recall when this was, this has been an off and on in terms of some sort of closure for a period of time. And I think the biggest objection by the business community was the fear of parking or lack thereof. And it pertained to the foot traffic would be good, but the question is without necessarily adequate, I shouldn't say adequate, without a ton of people gaining access to public transportation that takes them downtown, they would then have to drive and park somewhere. And the concern was that I think a follow-up on this, I'm sorry, go ahead. Oh, I think a
Go
follow-up.
ahead.
Yeah, I think a follow-up with either the downtown Middleton community and or chamber, and just to get a gauge of their latest thinking there would probably be a good idea.
Or
I
there could be,
agree. Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, I just was wondering if, like a time cutoff could be, I'm not sure how late all those businesses are open until.
Yeah,
If
it's true.
it doesn't close until, let's say, I don't know, 4 p.m. or even 5 p.m. I'm not sure how many people that would affect. Just curious.
Yeah,
One-
that's a good point. The 5 p.m. cutoff might be yeah, I can't, just from my own edification. Certainly there are, those that are still dining, et cetera, but I think that would probably assuage a lot of concerns.
We do have one person with a hand up. It's Arts and Literature Laboratory. I apologize, I don't know your name.
Sorry about that. I'm at a cross-country meet, so I don't have my computer. I'm in my car, and so I can't change I don't know how to do that on my phone. But so I'm one of the directors at Arts and Literature Laboratory, and I just wanted to comment that, like Nicole was saying, we felt like it would be more safe because we're really promoting this event for people to go downtown and shop and go to the restaurants and then come to the green to enjoy the entertainment and be going back and forth. And so having more space and not having cars trying to squeeze through, we thought would be, a benefit to the businesses, because we're really trying to drive traffic downtown for these 2 days.
I appreciate that, and I do get totally what you're doing. I think we have to kind of walk a fine line for the businesses as well. It's too bad we don't have a little more time. We don't have another L&O meeting before this event.
Will it
Uh,
come before, it wouldn't come before the council, right? So I'm just trying to think of, what could we do to buy time to be able to do that? I mean, one could argue that it's an experiment that we're running, and that this has an opportunity to be able to give us feedback about whether or not the hour limit makes sense, adequate notification, all this stuff in advance. I'd rather personally lean towards implementing something rather than nothing altogether.
I really like that idea, Luke, of using this as an experiment. I don't think it's beyond a normal question for the hours that they're looking for. 10 to 10 on Saturday, on the 8th, I think. I mean, that's a long time, but at the same time, it's kind of been a big event for the downtown. I don't think it's a bad thing to give it a try. And if the businesses are like, that was awful, we absolutely cannot do anything like that. We say, okay, we live and we learn.
Yep.
I mean, part of the discussion that we want to have tonight is what do we see as the guidelines and the licensing for downtown? And until we understand how people are using it and enjoying it, if they're doing it on foot, are they taking different modes of transportation downtown? Are they parking down by City Hall and walking over? Are they parking in the parking garage? Until we understand how the community is really going to use it, I don't think that we can, I don't know. I mean, we can guess and try not to make people upset, but I don't think you're going to make anybody happy.
Yeah.
So I would move to approve the application as it is, and hope for great weather that day, and that we get a big turnout, and that, people get a chance to shop and listen to music and hang out downtown for a little bit, and then go from there.
I'll second that.
Can I just interject real quickly? There are two people with their hands up.
Oh, sorry.
And also I just want, I guess, you guys to address the prohibited noise, or I'm sorry, the amplified sound going till 10 or 10:30 is what you're comfortable with.
Right. I don't know whose hand was up first.
I think Kathy Olson's was.
Kathy, I'd like to have you comment if you'd like.
I just wanted to say that last year during the summer fun nights, they had the streets closed and it worked out really well. It wasn't a big problem. And there was much safer without the cars driving through the, we did not have it closed for the strolling jazz last year. And it was kind of dicey at times, I thought. I agree that you got to proceed cautiously. So all I want to say, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy. Kathy, as long as you're talking about last year's music, how did it work for bands loading and unloading? Was there a specific spot, or did people just kind of come in wherever they could get onto the property?
They just brought it in how they could. Street closed at 5 o'clock. They put up signs ahead of time saying the street's going to be closed at such and such a time, and it worked out very well.
Great. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I'm so sorry that I'm forgetting your first name, Arts and Literature Lab.
Oh, it's
Please
my
go
bad. I
ahead.
should have my name in it. Sorry about that. I just wanted to give a little extra information about Saturday, that we're not going to start as early as we thought. At first we thought that the speeches and ribbon cutting would be in the morning, but actually we've condensed everything down, so it's not going to be until afternoon, maybe even as late as like 1 o'clock. So we could cut off some of that morning time, although I don't know how it is with Middleton. I know in Madison we have to, they have to have the parking blocked a certain amount of time, like 48 hours in advance, in order to prevent people from parking their vehicles there. So I don't know if it's possible to trim it down or not. And then the last band, I think, is at 7. Is that right, Nicole? So really the music will be done, by 9, unless there's a rain delay. So that would be like maybe to keep it at 10, just in case, but
Okay.
we definitely don't need 10:30.
Okay, great. That sounds great. Okay, do we need to change the motion at all?
I think I would like to amend my motion to end at 10 as per city ordinance and by mention of the applicant.
Do we have to have the motion also contingent on a parking plan or a traffic control plan?
And is that traffic control plan, are you talking just for Elmwood? Is that what we're talking about? Or are we talking about
Would be for Hubbard, just, I mean, it can be very simple since it's so straightforward, but just like the 2 barricades that would be needed at the entrance onto Hubbard. And then one at the end where Aurora meets Elmwood.
And then
Those aren't-
presumably, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Those aren't in the application already? Isn't that part of the road closure?
We don't have a traffic control plan that was submitted, no. It just the
Oh.
fact that they wanted to close the street.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
And I was just gonna add that they would need, presumably they would want no parking in that area as well. So there'll be a no parking order and we can work on that as we get closer.
Okay, do we need to change motions again? Or are we good? Matt?
I followed everything. It might not hurt to restate the motion. I kind of lost.
Yeah, Kendra, if you're willing.
I will try this from the top. If I understand, I'm not always clear about what the traffic control plan is. So if I start to misstate what I'm thinking it is, please correct me. So I am going to move that we approve the application with a couple of amendments. One, that the sound shall end at 10 PM as per city ordinance. That a traffic control plan we put in place that indicates no parking and requested streets of closure. And I think that covers it.
Okay, and I will second that.
All right, I see Nicole's hand up. Do we,
You can do the vote. I just have a question about who supplies the barricades.
okay. All in favor of these 2 applications for special event permit and outdoor amplified sound permit contingent on these different changes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So, Laura, do you know the answer to Nicole's question about the barricades, or is that for Captain Geisler?
Nope, that actually Nicole, you can work through me to get that rental and we'll get those delivered to you. So yeah, I can follow up with you on that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks. We look forward to this event.
Thank you. Thank you all. I think we can hop off. Is that right? Or
I believe
Yes.
so. Yes.
awesome.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Thanks, you too.
We have 2 in a row that I think we can run together again. This next one, application for a special event permit by Madison Events LLC, Robin Kempfer, contact person for the 2022 Haunted Hustle on October 22 and 23, 2022 at Kiva Sports Center. Also, the application for an outdoor amplified sound permit by Robin Kempfer for Madison Events LLC, 5118 Wintergreen Drive, Madison, Wisconsin, for sound system announcements and DJ from 3 to 6 PM, October 22nd, 2022, and from 9 AM to 1 PM on October 23, 2022, for the 2022 Haunted Hustle.
Yeah, so this, again, annual event that takes place in Middleton, and it's been at Kiva for quite a while now. We do have Jerry and Robin on the call tonight. But since, I will note that since the application has been submitted, they have made a few adjustments. The route, the 10K is no longer taking place this year. And the half, excuse me, the half marathon was going to be affected by some Pleasant Branch corridor trail construction taking place. So they have modified that. And so what was in your packet is not current, but they have posted their updated half marathon route online. I can bring up that map if you'd like me to. But that is
Is that there?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the revised route without using that part of the corridor trail that is
The-
going to be under repair.
Dotted line is what's being taken out.
No, it was this section here between Parmenter Street and Century Avenue.
Got it.
Is that being changed for the 5K too? Because it looked like the 5K map also had something that might be on that part, or is that not impacted?
This
Oh,
is the
don't,
5K.
that's different than the one that's in the packet. Okay,
Yeah,
Okay,
it might have, they have been. Yep.
okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the committee? Do the Kempfers have anything they need to add?
No, I sent over the maps to Jeremy today. And I still need to get a hold of Steve with the EMTs and arrange for them. And then I'll work with Laura to get the class 3 barricades that we need to close down for Cynthia. And I think, did we put in the maps for all the no parking signs again?
We have not discussed that yet. I suspect it'll be very similar to last year's. So I can
Yeah.
share with you what I have from last year, and then you can add anything else or delete what you need to. That works.
Okay, so perfect.
Great. Well, I know this has been a great event over the years, and I don't have any other questions. Anybody else on the committee? I'd like to move approval for both the special event permit and the outdoor amplified sound permit. Do I have a second?
This is Luke. I'll second that.
Great. Kendra, you're muted when you're ready. All in favor? Did she freeze?
She is a little frozen there.
Well, we can vote Luke and I guess. Matt, is it okay, or do I wait until she's unfrozen?
Oh, you can vote. You are still a quorum with the two of you, and that's enough to pass. So yeah, I would consider this if somebody had to temporarily leave a meeting. As long as you still have a quorum, you can conduct business.
All right, looks like she's joined again. Let's see. Kendra, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hi. All right, we're gonna take this vote on these two special events, these two permits, special event and outdoor amplified for the Haunted Hustle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you very much for coming on the call, Kempfers, and I hope you have a great event.
Yep. Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Okay, number 7 on the agenda. Application for a special event permit by Middleton High School. Jamie Sims, contact person for the 2022 homecoming football game and spirit night and parade on October 12th and 14th, 2022 at Brighton Box Stadium in Middleton High School. Laura, is this one yours?
It is, yes. So again, annual events, and from what I understand, they are going to be functioning extremely similar to past years. And I think the fireworks application that I submitted for the packet hadn't yet been approved by Chief Harris. However, that did come through. I do have it now. And he has approved that and submitted all the necessary plans that are required with that application. So I think we're good to go there. But he is on the call if there are any questions. And then we also have Brad on the call with the high school. If there's any questions for him, this does include a parade, the spirit night, and that parade route was included in the packet as well.
Mhm. Does the committee have any questions for Laura or anybody? Chief Harris or anyone else?
No questions.
Luke, you're muted. Are you good?
I'm good.
All right. I need a motion to approve.
This is Kendra. I'll make a motion to approve the permit for the parade and fireworks for the Middleton High School.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. And I hope the
Thank
high
you,
school-
everyone.
Great homecoming.
Come on out and enjoy the crowds. It's gonna be a blast.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to applications, points 8 and 9. I believe we can do again together. Application for a special event permit by Gilda's Club Madison. Christine Rader, contact person for the 2022 Gilda's Run Walk on October 16, 2022 at Mead and Hunt. Also, the application for an outdoor amplified sound permit by Christine Rader for Gilda's Club Madison, 7907 UW Health Court, Middleton, Wisconsin, for sound system and announcements from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m., October 16th, 2022 for Gilda's Run Walk.
Yeah, so again, this is another annual, we have a lot of longstanding Middleton events thing, but this is another one. And again, plans are very similar to previous years. The routes have been reviewed by the team at the city. No big concerns. There was some talk of closing down Deming Way to help with congestion. But after speaking with the organizers, they're not really anticipating their numbers to be pre-pandemic levels. So not expecting that should be needed this year. If it is, they're willing to explore that potentially next year. The only other thing, they're waiting to confirm the exact officer needs that they're going to want on the route with their race management, race day events, but that should be coming soon. And Christine is on the call if anyone has any specific questions.
Anybody have any questions for us on the committee, Luke or Kendra?
No question.
Okay, so when we make this motion, we should make it contingent on a plan with the number of police officers, correct? Or approved plan with police officers, however you want us to say it.
It's up, I don't know, Captain Geisler, if you think that that's needed. I mean, we don't always have the exact needs. Sometimes that does come after approval. I just mentioned it because I know that that's something that's still kind of up in the air, but it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and they have reached out as via email and a phone call. I haven't gotten back to them yet, but I'm confident that we'll be able to come to an adequate conclusion, and even if it's based on prior years. But I will give them a call and work on that. So I guess it would be up to you as for the contingencies.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone want to move approval?
This is Luke. I will move approval.
This is Kendra. I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor of these two applications being approved, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. On
Good
to
luck.
Miss. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have fun. On to miscellaneous. Number 1 in miscellaneous, a discussion on the use of Stonehorse Green as it applies to the License and Ordinance Committee. Is this Matt's? Whose is this?
Go ahead. Well, I can kind of introduce it, I guess. And I see Abby's on here too, and I apologize because I invited her very late, so I appreciate her showing up. Laura and I have kind of been the ones that I guess have been the initial point of contact, and obviously Laura working with the gentleman whose name I can't remember now. Abby. Matt. Okay.
Matt Stroh Standard. Yeah,
yes.
new event coordinator. Yep.
Yeah. So this discussion kind of started last year in August with our former city administrator as to what the purpose is, because we had been getting, and Katie, you probably remember this, we had been getting requests to reserve this space. And it was kind of this big unknown as to what its ultimate purpose is going to be. The communication amongst Abby and Laura and Matt's been part of those conversations as well, is that this was intended for city sponsored events only. So there was discussion that Matt had gotten involved in as to whether or not we need to, one, codify that somewhere, two, if we should be advertising that, because Laura is kind of that first point of contact. She's the one who's sometimes has to deal with upset people if they're looking to reserve that space. And then there's those simple things like in ordinance that probably aren't a huge deal, but the noise popped up today as far as it's only open till 10 o'clock. And then one of the other things that we had discussed is that, which is part of this next agenda item, if it's for city sponsored events only, they are not required. City entities are not required to fill out a special events permit. They are required to do an amplified sound permit. But if that permitting process kind of tells Laura and I what we need to focus on, is it street closures? Is it how many people are going to be there? Will there be police needs? Does EMS fire need to be involved? Those kind of things. And then the amplified sound permitting, is it an annual process, much like say the high school, or you guys do that for Kiva as well? So it's just kind of this gray area that we haven't addressed yet because it hasn't been an issue, because Stonehorse Green hasn't really been open yet. But obviously as they near completion, I guess Laura and I would probably benefit the most from some sort of guidance on what is expected there. So did I miss anything there, Laura?
Oh, that was spot on. Yeah, I agree.
I have a quick question. Can you define for me what a city-sponsored event is?
It's a great question. So Abby, if you want to, I guess, address that. We do some of them, but there's a lot of that downtown space is probably used more by Abby and their groups.
Yep, and I actually would qualify it that we would be looking at city or CDA sponsored events, because the Community Development Authority is the entity that hired the part-time staff person, Matt Strohsnyder, who's handling event planning for the space and marketing. And he's also in close coordination with the Downtown Middleton Business Association. And so he's planning several events. He's working in conjunction with the Art and Literature Laboratory. He's got several movie nights planned for the fall. He has music. But I think what we really want to avoid is any business entity or even nonprofit entity reserving the space and precluding the general public from attending. So we wouldn't be looking to rent this out for events or weddings or private functions or corporate parties if they were intending to exclude the general public from the space. Another limiting factor for us is that we have limited funding available for maintenance of the space, and that's already been budgeted like pretty much to the dollar. So we don't have enough funding in the CDA budget to do extra cleanings of the restroom, for example, for special events outside of city organized events. I do think, and I talked with Laura and Captain Geisler about this, this is going to be a little bit of a trial and error because it's a new type of space. It's not a park. So our department is not the parks department that has a lot of experience with event planning and reserving shelters and reserving spaces. And so we kind of want to start small and keep it pretty controlled as to what programmed events are allowed in the space. And luckily for us, we have a really good source of funding. We have a Madison Community Foundation grant for $15,000 for the first year of programming. So we have enough money to heavily program the space with concerts and activities for all ages for the first year, as we're kind of in that trial period before we decide if we're going to be able to keep it programmed enough on our own, or if we need to, be able to looking to a broader audience and opening it up for other entities to reserve it.
So Kendra, did that answer your question?
I think so. I'm still a little unclear about how, and this is just a learning curve for me, how the city and the CDA work together as an entity, and then this arts and literature, the people that are putting on the jazz program, is that not a nonprofit that we're hiring it out for? I guess it's just, I'm not really sure as far as like where it seems like a gray line. It's not a bright line what a city sponsored event is. So I just want to be careful there because I don't know.
And I would agree with that. It is a little gray. I'm not going to argue with that. Stroll in Middleton and the Art Lit Laboratory has been an organization that we've partnered with for 3 years, and the CDA has been a primary sponsor of their event every year that they've held it here in Middleton. The CDA, the Community Development Authority, is an entity of the city, partners with the city, was funded initially by the sale of property within a TIF district, and that is where their funding mechanism comes from. The mayor chairs the CDA. Katie Nelson and Kathy Olson both serve on the CDA, and I staff it. They have a small budget. It's been about $7,500 per year for event sponsorship. So they sponsor the holiday tree lighting, Strollin', the National Mustard Day, the city's art walk, and some of the other events that happen in the downtown. Like pretty much any of the downtown events they serve as a sponsor of. So those are just requests that need to be kind of funneled through them to determine whether or not it's an event the city can sign on to and support.
Abby, can I ask you a question? Since Mustard Days is sponsored by CDA, but it's a business, could Mustard Days be held at Stonehorse Green?
The National Mustard Museum is a nonprofit, and they organize National Mustard Day. There is a separate entity that is the business entity, the retail storefront. We have talked with them about that. I think that they want to get people into the museum to see their collection. But it's possible that we could close a portion of Parmenter Street that would enable the event to kind of spill over Parmenter and into that segment of Hubbard that's adjacent to the Stonehorse Green.
Got it.
That would require quite a bit of detouring. I think they used to close Parmenter for the event.
Right.
I can't remember how many years ago that was, but they used to have a temporary road closure there.
Yeah.
Well, I do think it does make some sense for us to, I mean, I generally the idea of what is city sponsored and not has not been a serious problem because it ultimately was not a phrase that we use to say, exclude, say one person can use this and another person can't. And now if that's the sort of concept we're going to use to say, one event is okay at Stonehorse Green and another event is not, I think that sort of raises the stakes a little bit in terms of how we're picking and choosing. And so I do think that we probably want to think about having a more focused definition even for what is going to be city sponsored. And frankly, I think it has to be something where more clearly organized by the city, city run. I would want to try to avoid as best we can, the city just essentially lending its name to something, but it's really one or more nonprofits, because then, some other nonprofit, well, why aren't we allowed to hold our event there? And to the extent that gets into potential First Amendment issues and I think if this is the direction we're going to go in terms of restricting the use of Stonehorse Green, I think we need to narrow and have a pretty clear focus on how we're defining those parameters.
And Matt, does that have to be done by ordinance then, or is that?
For something like that, I probably would do this by ordinance. If for no other reason, then it's just the best place to memorialize these things. You know, I don't know if we put it in the special Stone Horse Green regulator. We probably would want something in the special event ordinance and some cross references with the Stone Horse Green regulations. It's not to say maybe every single detail needs to necessarily be in the ordinance, but it does seem, you know, like some of it should be. At least that's my sort of initial impression as I think about this.
Can we put together some sort of like a checklist that it has to, you know, various components and all of them have to be checked in order for it to be, you know, sorry, adequate for Stone Horse Green?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess I'd ask who's responsible for identifying that.
I mean, I can put it together if we want to outline, you know, spend a minute or two, just kind of figuring out like what qualifies. Or what I could do is I could take a stab at it. Like one of the things that I've done for like the airport commission is I've looked at what other cities do for various, you know, things, and then try and adapt it here and come back to this group for discussion.
Yeah, and we can work with Matt, to our event coordinator, and I mean, we don't have a whole lot of time because the green is scheduled to open October 7th and 8th. So if it's important for this group that we have something in place prior to the opening, then we would probably need to fast track it. But if it's not important that it's ready right away, we could also get the CDA's input on it.
I personally don't think it necessarily needs to be put in place right away. I think, you know, we can roll. I would rather take the time to get it right than maybe rush something that we then have to modify significantly later on.
Agreed. The change of the seasons might benefit us here in the fact that there's not going to be a lot that gets scheduled, if anything, after this first weekend in October. So.
Yeah, but yeah, it's I think good idea to use the time that we are given, but this is good timing to have this discussion so that have all things squared away.
Yeah, and like we talked about with the closed road on Hubbard, this first little time with this space is going to be an experiment. So I think not having it written before it opens is a good thing, because we'll see how things go. Anybody else have anything? Luke, I like your idea of a checklist a lot. No action needed on this, right?
I don't think so.
At this point, no vote anyway.
I would just ask, do you want it on next month's agenda as well, or?
Could we please? Yeah.
Sure.
And well, I guess the question is I mean, have you had applications for it? Have you had people express interest to start, are wondering how to get on the calendar already? Is that?
Most of the interest that we've gotten has been from musicians, and we're keeping a database of musicians that Matt can reach out to when he's ready to schedule music for a particular night. But I think that the reason that this is coming up is more related to a previous request that we had from a nonprofit entity in the city that wanted to have their beer tent stationed there, and they wanted to be able to sell beer, which was not really the goal of the space. It's not really to support commercial activities within the space, and it's not to support private functions. So I think it's a good idea to put some definition around what is a city sponsored event. I like the idea of a checklist. And Luke, if you're willing to work with me and Matt, we can, maybe have a meeting and put something together for the License and Ordinance Committee. Would your next meeting be on October 11th? Is that the meeting night? Okay.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm sure, Kendra, once people see how amazing the space is, we probably will start getting a lot of requests from people to reserve it.
All right. Any more on the Stonehorse Green? If not, we'll go to discussion topic number 2, a discussion on the committee's expectations as it applies to licensing for city-sponsored events.
And this was just kind of an add-on to that. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but so the ordinance says that city entities are not required to fill out a special event permit. Rebecca Price in Parks was always great about doing it. I can tell you that police department hasn't always been great. We've done like National Night Out down at Lakeview Park and we haven't filled out a permit. Now, I guess that falls on us as far as the security and the safety plan. So we knew what we needed, but that permit tells Laura and I what resources are needed. I guess I like seeing them. I haven't specifically asked Laura her opinion on it, but she can speak to that. It's just, we also have this weird, the special events permit is not required, but an amplified sound permit is.
Yeah, I would agree. I would love to see city events have to fill one out just for more of a tracking purpose. And like Captain Geiser said, I mean, it's just nice to know so we're aware of what resources are needed. And the fee has always been waived when Parks has in the past filled out those applications for the special event and then also the amplified sound. But it would just, yes, I am on board with them going through the approval process.
And then the question would be,
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say the question would be then as to whether or not we need to make any ordinance changes. And I think Matt's of the opinion, we don't probably need that, but.
Yeah, well, if we're gonna go and decide, yeah, everybody should. I mean, again, it's a convenient place to memorialize these things, and we do have some, differences in our ordinances. So, that all relate to special events. So it probably does make some sense in this case to have them read a little bit more consistently if that's going to be the requirement.
I like the idea as well of having everyone fill out an application because I think it helps the organizers really go through everything they're going to need to have covered, and it just kind of reminds them of everything. So I like the idea. It's not that difficult to fill out, and it's nice memorialized record. Anybody else have anything on this?
I'm in agreement. I think it makes sense.
One thing I guess I did want to clarify with the committee is amplified sound is required right now for any Stonehorse Green event. I didn't know if the committee was open to something, like if they still, excuse me, for every single event that happens there, is it going to need to be specific to that date? Or would they be open to something like similar to like what Capitol Brewery has, where it's set for these times Monday through Wednesday, except for these times Thursday night, like it can be whatever it wants, but I don't know if that would be allowed, or because then if we had that, then it would be the focus would more be on the special event permit to know what was really coming in and out of the space.
I'd be a little reticent at first to do anything that's akin to what Capitol Brewery has, just in the fact of the way the stage faces directly at the apartments that are there and the businesses that are there, where Capitol Brewery faces to the Beltline and the projection of the sound is different. So I don't know if that's something, I wouldn't say that we're comparing But I don't know, I'm not an acoustic person, so maybe the sound, maybe there's something about the design of the Stone Horse Green that makes it, that would make sense as well. I just want to be cognizant of the different spaces that those two are. But I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't know how we're going to be using this space. I don't know if it's going to be a mainly a music space or if it's going to be more of a gathering space. So I don't know.
Anything else? I do understand, like, Kendra, that I get that. Like, I think Capital Brewery probably had to prove itself for a while before we gave it the blanket A-OK. And I think that that's probably a good idea for this too, at first anyway. So, yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have anything? I was wondering, Abby, are you still on, Abby? Yeah. The stage faces west, and I think that's right. Am I right about that? We went by one day and Eric said, "Oh my God, the sun is going to be in anybody's eyes who's up on the stage. How are they going to see anything? As the sun sets, it's going to be right in the performer's eyes." But I guess they'll just have to have some cool shades.
That actually came up when we were designing the project, because we had a woman who was participating in the project who is the state expert on band shells. Apparently, she maintains a website called wisconsinbandshells.com. And they did design it so that the sun was not supposed to shine in performers' eyes. So they haven't poured the concrete yet for the stage. It'll be interesting to see once they have it all in place. I hope that that's not the case. It faces west and south. So you would think, yeah, south facing sun, but the designers had anticipated that being a concern.
Cool. I'm glad that was a thought. That's great. All right. Does anyone else have anything? I really appreciate Abby taking time after work, coming in. Any other questions? I guess that's it on the agenda then. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None. All right. Thank you all so very much. 6:29, not too bad. All right. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.